Welcome to the Libertarian Counterpoint. I'm Richard Fields. On the program we have John Cameron, author of Rewire and Rekill, and Michael Patrick Murphy, the author of The Government and a bunch of tomes that you can find on Facebook.
Yeah. Michael Patrick Murphy.
Michael Patrick Murphy. Don't forget the Patrick.
Rewire and Rekill.
Libertarian Counterpoint is on channel 17 in Sacramento. Check Libertarian Counterpoint at www.accesssacramento.org at noon on Friday, 8 p.m. Thursday, 4 a.m. on Saturday, all Pacific time, on YouTube and on cable channels. Check your local, other cable channels. Check your local listing for time and channel. Silly season started earlier this year with the presidential primaries, and it's getting sillier. Sarah Palin has endorsed the Donald. John? Does that make you want to vote for the Donald?
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I would probably vote for Sarah Palin before I vote for Donald Trump. But what's interesting to me is that anybody cares about either one of them. I'm finding that kind of hard to believe. But you know, it just shows that if you're loud enough and obnoxious enough and prey on enough people's fears and are entertaining enough, that you can be in a position where you might be elected president of the United States. And you know, the thing is that everybody laughs at, not everybody, a lot of people laugh at Donald Trump and they think he's outrageous and how could this man be president. But then if you look at the current clown we have, other than the fact that he's much more low-key, what makes him qualified to be president? I mean, he was a senator for about a week, and he was a political organizer before that. He came from the most corrupt political machine that basically the world has ever seen, and is obviously a mouthpiece for unions and the far liberal left. But somehow that's okay.
Yeah, he's a mouthpiece for Bill Ayers and his cohorts in Chicago 7. That's
well,
what he's a
that too.
mouthpiece
Excuse
for.
me.
Well, these things are so, the political capital they gain or lose, because there's probably as many people that don't like Sarah Palin as do like Sarah Palin. Somehow they're weighing all this out to decide if that endorsement has
Did
value
anybody
or
watch
not.
her endorsement speech?
No.
It was kind of
It was
random.
Disjointed, silly thing I've ever seen. I had to tune out after about 3.5 minutes. And did you see Sarah Palin's defense of her son Track beating his wife or his girlfriend? Her son Track beat his girlfriend.
Track? That's
Track,
his name?
yeah, Track Palin.
Like half track?
Well, you maybe start to think so.
Yeah.
You know, hit her with his fist, allegedly, and Sarah Palin's response when questioned about that was, "It's Obama's fault." I'm serious. It's Obama's fault because he's got PTSD because Obama didn't treat homecoming veterans.
Is he a vet?
Yeah, he's a vet, Iraqi vet. Didn't treat veterans well enough as far as when they came home from fighting for their country in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I think, you know, Sarah's a loose cannon, and so one loose cannon endorsing another loose cannon, which is Trump, you know, who I think, if he wasn't so embarrassing, would be amusing. And I think that's actually what's going on in politics. I think that the media is promoting and supporting candidates that provide the highest entertainment value, because you know, I mean, who really cares who's in power in government? They're not going to do anything either except screw it up and be corrupted by the
K Street.
The people who pull the strings and give money to their party anyway. So I mean, really, who cares? So if you've got somebody who's highly entertaining. It's like the show Big Brother, which I've never watched. Survivor, I watch. My wife loves Survivor, so we watch that. And it's basically just drama. And who is the most dramatic? You have Hillary's megalomaniacal lunacy and the fact that she's a serial liar of the highest order on the one hand, and then you have Trump with a different kind of megalomania on the other side. I mean, and I think it's basically just entertainment value. I mean,
Well,
really
there's
now.
that, but there's also the interesting dynamic of who is attracted to Trump. And all he said is, I'm going to make America great again, and I'm going to, put up a wall to keep out the
Gonna be
immigrants and
strong.
make the
Yeah.
Mexicans pay for it, and I'm going to be tough in the Middle East. Just platitudes, basically, promising things that are on the face of them impossible to deliver, and everybody knows it, and everybody loves it anyway. But if you take a real close look at the Trump campaign, which is breaking all the rules, except for the advice, if you look very carefully, a would-be Buchanan advisor back in the 90s, a guy by the name of Samuel Francis. He advised Buchanan didn't take the advice, but he advised Buchanan to go after the populist authoritarian strain in American politics, and there is one. And somebody decided to do a survey, the usual election survey, who would you vote for president, but they added 4 authoritarian scale questions to the poll. The questions were related to child care, and the questions were, would you want your child to be A, respectful, or B, independent? Second question, A, obedient, or B, self-reliant? Third question, A, well-behaved, or B, considerate? And then the fourth question, A, well-mannered, or B, curious. And if you answered A on those questions, you were of an authoritarian mindset. B, not so much. And the people who polled well for Trump polled overwhelmingly well on the authoritarian scale. And if you take a look at the voters in the Republican primaries, you've got the social conservatives, who are pretty much authoritarian in their mindset. They would like biblical precepts to be followed. That's what they believe, and they
Kind of like
believe
the
everybody.
Christian version of Sharia law.
Exactly. Well, perhaps not quite that extreme, but along the same lines. You've got the authoritarian, the neocons in foreign policy, who want the entire world to bend and scrape in front of the American empire. That's authoritarian. And then you've got the nativists, the people who would keep anybody that doesn't look like us out of the country, and in fact keep everybody out of the country.
Us doesn't look like us anymore.
Well, I preach
I
that-
agree, but the point is, these are the authoritarian voters that Trump is appealing to, with his anti-immigration tirades, with his neocon empire, we'll make America great again tirades, all the way down the line. He's appealing to the authoritarian streak that exists in American politics. In the past, it hasn't really come to the surface because there's been no lightning rod recently anyway to directly appeal to it. But Trump is it.
Well,
It's sort of like Hitler appealing
Bush
to the
set
Germans.
up a very authoritarian time period when we were dealing with Afghanistan post 9/11 stuff. But you live in an elegant totalitarian state. Now, some people might want to
In a
disagree
what?
with me on that, but America is an elegant totalitarian state. now.
Elegant. Okay.
In the sense that, hey, we've got food, we got a lot of things here that other countries don't have. So compared to other totalitarian states, we're more elegant at this moment. But we're in decline, and we've been in decline for a long time. And I think that as honest and disciplined as Americans are, so goes their government. And that's true of any government, in any country. Even Saddam Hussein's Iraq, if you let it get bad long enough, it's going to get really bad. And if we're fed, we got food on the table, and we get lazy, or we're entertained, we're a self-medicating society, and we look for entertainment and food on the table.
Yeah, think The Apprentice
Yeah,
for entertainment.
yeah. And so now, that's what we seek within our government. It's the same thing. We look for entertainment and food on the table.
So
And
sort
for them to
of a
provide it.
modern day Roman circus.
It is. It has been for a long time. Yes, it's
But you
just
don't
like
actually
the
have to go
gladiators.
to the Coliseum now. The Coliseum comes to you.
That's right. You sit
Because you
home,
got your 4K TV.
you got your 4K TV,
And
you got your
your-
football, you
yeah.
got your entertainment, and we are just
And you got your drone pilot training from your video games.
we're so busy entertaining ourselves, we're not doing anything, and we're not doing anything about anything. And
Well,
this
the
is kind of
interesting thing to
society
me
we're in.
is, not only is there a strong Republican subset within the Republican primary voter subset.
Authoritarian.
Yeah. But there's also an authoritarian element within the Democratic Party.
And I think that Obama represents it.
And among independents as well. So you've got I hate to say it, you've got an electoral majority of authoritarians that could actually
Well,
put Trump over the top.
Isn't socialism on the road to authoritarianism? I mean, actually, if you're
Socialism
willing
is
to
probably
give all
more-
your money to the
Yeah.
government to manage your life, it's just a short little step over to giving it to one person or one group of people to manage your life.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
if you spin those questions a little bit, and you ask the question this way: respectful of the environment, obedient of government regulations, well-behaved PC
Follow-
speech,
follow orders.
well-mannered PC speech, then anybody on the liberal side would be
Authoritarian.
authoritarian.
Yeah,
So
and if you look at
you
what's
have-
happening on campuses
Yeah.
today with microaggression, whatever the heck that means, but we know what it means. It means if you say something I don't want to hear, you're aggressing. Whether it's aggressive or not, doesn't make any difference. I don't want to hear it, therefore it's aggression.
You're controlling.
Yeah.
All you have to do to convert that to assertive is to use I words. So instead of "you're going to get your ass kicked," it's "I'm going to kick your ass." See, and then it's assertive. I'm playing with words now. So we are.
Anyway,
I'm really
we
worried.
have a dangerous situation where the Republican Party is turning to the authoritarian, and in the Democratic Party, we've got Hillary, the most admired woman in the world, and we've got Sanders, a self-identified democratic socialist, whatever that means, as the top two the leaders in the Democratic primary. So I mean, you've got really, and you've got maybe a few other people that are possibly going to be contenders in the Republican side, but certainly not anybody that I like. And if you end up with a Trump versus Hillary or a Trump versus Sanders, what in the world is that going to look like? Are we setting ourselves up for an election where a third-party choice actually can gain traction?
Wouldn't that be
actually
nice?
Can
I don't
get
think-
elected?
I think that it's
Actually
amazing.
can get on the ballot in all 50 states. Hey, there is a party that's going to be on the ballot in all 50 states, and hey, they've got an ex-governor of New Mexico running for their nomination, as well as the founder of a well-known internet security company, John McAfee, running for that nomination.
It's well known for a couple other things too.
Well,
but-
that's true, but notoriety, as Trump has proven, notoriety doesn't seem to be a problem in this election year. Is there? George Will has said, "Hey, there's a possibility of a third party, or an independent or a third party, getting traction this year."
Well, the only problem is that
has the time finally arrived?
Well, independent, meaning a candidate not tied to any party right now, I think the odds are better for that than it is for a third-party candidate.
Except that that's not going to happen because you can't get
No
on the ballot.
apparatus.
There's no apparatus.
Well-
There's no way of getting on the ballot for a third party unless it's a third party that's got buku bucks and started about 2 years ago.
But you have the fastest growing group in the United States is the independent voter.
That's fine, but if you can't get your man on the ballot, he's not going to get votes.
Well, Trump
at some point,
Trump has promised that he won't run as a third-party candidate. So I think, based upon his track record, that you're pretty much guaranteed that if it doesn't go his way, he will run as a third-party candidate.
Trump?
So, yeah.
So you
know,
got
since he's
Cruz,
guaranteed
Trump,
that he won't.
and Hillary. Okay.
Yeah,
there
and
you
then
go.
Sanders. I would, what I'm kind of hoping is that that people wake up sometime near election day and say, I'm not going to take these meds today because they've been making me pay attention to people like Trump and Sanders and Hillary. I'm actually going to leave these meds alone because they're obviously causing me to make really bad choices, and I'm going to choose. Choose a candidate who is just right in line with
man, that is an unusual
with-
view. I have to give that to you. I haven't heard this one.
with what are because something like 57% of the adults in this country are on some kind of psychotropic drug. I mean, the number of people who are taking medication to alter their mental state is, I think, definitely more than half. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on that. And it's certainly everyone that's been involved in one of these mass shootings has been under the care of a psychiatrist or psychologist and on some kind of mood-altering substance. So I think that's what I'm hoping, that they'll wake up one day and they'll decide, well, let's go ahead and vote for a candidate who logically makes sense. And maybe this government has gotten too big. Oh, there's one, Rand
You
Paul.
really holding your breath for
There's
this?
one. No, I'm not holding my breath, and I hold my
Well,
breath
yeah,
for a long
okay,
time.
let's talk about Rand Paul. He got kicked out of the Republican debate.
Why was
The
that?
Fox Republican debate. Well, they were taking the top 5 polling candidates, except
polled in
he
the
was
top
polling
5.
in about the top 3, and he got bumped anyway.
Imagine that.
I wonder what in the world.
No drama,
Well,
no entertainment value.
Why? He does entertain.
Oh, he's tremendously entertaining to
Sure.
people who aren't on
They
mood-altering
don't understand.
substances. But what I'm talking is about the general populace. He talks about reality. That's not entertaining.
Well,
That's scary.
I do think it is up to we the people, and I think we the people are the problem.
well,
absolutely.
yeah,
You
ultimately,
know,
democracy.
because
yeah,
if you
kind of
run
self-
locally independent candidates, which theoretically that is an independent office when you run for city council and many of the offices out there, but people have to learn to run and fund independent candidates. And then when that starts at the bottom, I think at the top it'll change too.
Well, the other thing that's interesting about Rand Paul is he didn't do the obvious thing and participate in the undercard debate. He said, "I'm not going to do that," and he live tweeted, and he went on, I think the whatever it is, the old Jon Stewart show, and he did a number of media appearances that probably got him a lot more attention than he would have gotten had he participated in the undercard debate. And he has a really interesting Iowa campaign strategy, and that is his 10,000 Students for Rand campaign. And that's interesting because if you remember, his dad, Ron Paul, placed very well in the Iowa caucuses back in, I think it was 2008, by organizing Students for Liberties, Students for Ron Paul in Iowa. And the interesting thing was that Ron Paul did well, even though college was not in session when the caucuses took place. This year, the colleges will be in session when the caucuses take place. And Rand has already signed up 5,000 Students for Rand, and he's aiming for 10,000, and he's probably going to get there because there's a lot of excitement among college students to do that. And if you have 10,000 Iowa college students crowding into the caucuses and making noise and not being willing to go home until the caucus votes their way, he actually has a chance of being the upset, maybe not the winner, but the upset placer in Iowa. So I don't think it's time to give up quite yet on the Rand Paul campaign, and
Well,
that gives me hope.
Can we expand on this a little bit? Because
Absolutely.
and I'll ask the panel this question and see if they know the answer. And I'll just make one up. No. Here's a question. Which demographic group right now in the United States is the best saving group demographically? Is it baby boomers? Is
What-
it
you mean, as far-
Gen
you mean- you're talking about
Xers?
financial saving?
Financial savings right now.
Okay.
Which chunk of the demographic spectrum is actually the
By
has-
age.
Huh?
Which age group is saving the
Which
most
age
money?
group?
I don't know.
Millennials.
Okay.
So what we're seeing, I think, finally, and they're opting out of, in many ways, these are people who are working 2 jobs, a lot of them, because the jobs that they went to college and got a degree for don't exist because they were lied to by the establishment. And they've opted out of a lot of what we see as a kind of a mainstream, kind of life path. But what they've opted into is starting small businesses, not incurring any debt at all.
So they're basically
living-
insane.
No.
No, the
They're-
gig, you're talking about the
what-
gig economy.
No, I'm
Yeah,
just
what they're-
teasing.
what
Anybody that
they're-
starts a
they-
small business has
they-
got to have a little bit.
Yeah, but if you want to get successful, start a small
You
business.
want to lose your butt.
Yeah, but to really
Well, you've
be
done that,
successful-
I've done that, I've done that. But
yeah,
the
many
thing,
times. What I'm
the
saying
thing
is
is,
that-
every
but
once in a
these
while, you
people-
get, you make it work.
And what they're doing is they are saving because they look around and realize that they've been sold a bill of goods. They're trying to pay off this massive student debt that they've accumulated, thinking that they'd have a job with their sociology degree, or even in many cases their biology.
Well, none of them
degree.
believe in Social Security as
No.
being any avenue.
No,
for
and
them
they
later.
know that it won't be around when, so they're saving. They're a little bit leery of the stock market because these are the same
As
people
they
that
should
were in part of Occupy Wall Street. But I think, although, we might see bread, soup lines and bread kitchens for most of the populace, that this group is finally going to do something about it when they
Well, they can
have a
vote,
little
so
more
we'll
power.
learn a lot in the
Well,
next
no, they
election. Are they
can
still going to
vote.
go
And-
R&D?
And you look at the people who are in the Libertarian Party now. You have people our age, and you have millennials. So
And younger than millennials.
what?
And are
And
the
younger.
numbers up? I'm
Yeah, and
curious.
younger.
Are the,
Oh,
I
yeah,
haven't even
yeah,
followed it.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that's
The
where
numbers are up.
Yeah.
That's where the people are. This great mass of people who manage to sink their teeth into the government job or the cronyism job or whatever. They don't want to upset the apple cart that's paying them this money that's just being printed hand over fist. But millennials realize that we got screwed in this, and we've got to radically change. And the others, like us, at the end of the cycle, where are we going to live long enough to see this? Are we going to hopefully die before the economy collapses,
Well,
or
and
are we
the-
going to be around to see it?
And the other
You
part
know?
of that is
Yeah.
the millennial generation understands what the World War II generation never did understand, and our generation came to late, which is that the empire is dying, that the neocon foreign policy is bankrupt and counterproductive. And a real good
We have
example
no
of that.
reason. We have no
A real
reason
good
to be
example of
in
that is Obama actually did a good thing in negotiating a nuclear deal with Iran. He said to Iran, we'll give you your money back, and it's their money. We'll give you your money back, and we'll lift the trade sanctions if you promise to stop developing a nuclear bomb. Well, I don't know whether or not they're really going to promise that, but
Well, they
guess
did
what?
promise, but whether they're going to follow up,
I don't know, but
Yeah.
guess what? Everything that Iran said it was going to do, they did. They've been doing. We sent a riverboat into their waters. They stopped it. They, made them get down on their knees, but they turned them all loose. They released all of the prisoners that they were holding, save one. Iran has not been acting like an enemy, and that's got the neocons really upset. Because if you don't have an enemy, what the hell are you going to do?
how can you seize power
How can
if
you
have
there's
ISIS?
not a
We got
threat?
plenty of ISIS.
Yeah.
Well, ISIS is our own created enemy. ISIS is just John McCain's.
What do you do if you don't have an enemy? You
John
make
McCain's proteges, the freedom fighters, duping us. That's all
I
that
agree
is.
with you.
And we're probably going to make an enemy out of Saudi Arabia, but they were never much of a friend in the first place.
Well, Saudi Arabia has been financing,
Everybody,
a lot of this-
everybody,
a lot of
all the
this
bad,
craziness
all the
that's going
bad
on
stuff. So, the point is, we're doing. Obama did one good thing, or at least one good thing, and that is essentially a detente with Iran, and the people who live in Iran. The population of Iran, it's a very young population. They're very in their attitudes. They want to be pro-Western. They want to be a part of the modern world. And now they have the opportunity. And I think that there is a really high probability that they ultimately, if we don't get a nutcase in the White House, a neocon, a gopher in the White House, we could have an era of peace blossoming where Iran and the United States make short order of putting ISIS back in its cage. And if we get to a point where the price of oil stays down and only gradually goes up, that'll help the entire economy, save the oil patch and the frackers. I mean, they're going to have some problems going forward.
We're already having problems.
Oh yeah, but
Big problem.
there's a high probability of an optimistic trend change
In the Middle East.
East.
Yeah, yeah.
Except for Saudi Arabia. What's Saudi Arabia going to do about all this?
Well, Saudi Arabia hates Iran, so
Oh, yeah.
Saudi Arabia is the
And they control most of the oil, or a good chunk of the oil output.
But they're, you know, they have a problem in that they have to pump oil. And they're the ones that wanted to pump oil at these low prices because they wanted to
Kill fracking.
they wanted to kill fracking and
Kill
they
fracking,
wanted
kill Russia, kill Iran.
to kill Iran and kill Russia. But the problem is that they can't keep prices this low forever
Because they're running a massive welfare state.
they have a huge welfare state, even though they have a tiny population, was like 4.5 million or something. They have cradle to grave welfare that the Brits at the height of their welfare state would have died for, and they can't fund it. And then they have some spendy princes, and there's hundreds of them.
And princesses.
And princesses, yeah.
And they've got a Shiite minority that that lives in the oil patch, which is, you know, is a tinderbox waiting to happen.
So yeah, I mean, there's, you know, that the problem with, you know, this is a problem of Saudi's own making, but I don't know what they're going to do. And I think there might be, you know, now that there is fracking, the problem is that, you know, fracking requires constant exploration and constant production of wells. And if they keep prices this low for long enough, nobody's going to be willing, or very few people are going to be willing to go back in when prices do rise. So, you know, they're keeping their monopoly. What I would like to see, and I'm normally not one for organizing at the state level, is if there's an OPIC, an OPEC, organization patrolling exporting countries. Why isn't there an OPIC, organization of patrolling importing countries?
Well, the problem with that, of course, is that with shale, we're actually turning into an exporting nation.
Well, it would be, but
Yeah.
shale right now, you're losing 50 cents on every buck you're getting out of the ground. So, you know, kind of hard to do. Yeah.
We've been talking a whole lot about the presidential race. We talked about Trump and a little bit about Cruz and Rand and Palin and Hillary and Sanders and, you know,
Colonel Sanders or Bernie Sanders?
could be either one, I'm not sure. The point is, all of the people who are running for president, save Rand Paul, are dangerous, loony, or both. Which raises the question, do we really need a president? Can we have a government that consists primarily of Congress, the court system, and sheriffs to execute the laws? Just saying.
The cheaper way of doing it is you eliminate Congress and all that, and you keep the president, and you hope for a benevolent dictator.
Well, I don't think the president's the problem. I think the problem is that we've had emperors. We don't need emperors. We don't need an imperial state. If we had, you know, a nice, Harry Truman-esque, you know, I mean, somebody low-key.
I remember Dwight Eisenhower. He was
Dwight.
my favorite modern president. That's the show. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place, Libertarian Counterpoint, on the air on Channel 17 in Sacramento, other cable channels all over the place, YouTube, and on the web at www.accesssacramento.org, 8 p.m. Thursday, noon Friday, 4 a.m. Saturday.